comment. Joe Gelladino.
Joe Gelladino, 23 Corey Lane, Bristol, Connecticut. I'm not here for or against the project. I'd like to see it go, but I think the confusion here is the finance. I think this should have been explained a little bit better, because it's pretty sad when you come to a meeting and you have to see 2 police officers dressed in riot gear. You know, I never thought I would come to Bristol and see this. We had a peaceful city. We still do. I love it. I mean, I build in the city. I spend a lot of money here. I do whatever it takes. But it's sad to see what's going on in the division of the people. And I think this has got to be straightened out. I think more people might be willing to go with this project if they really knew what was behind it. Maybe they have to dress it up a little bit and have a little bit more commercial or restaurants along with the apartments. I know people like Barley Vine have a big investment here, and the D'Amato's and Renaissance. There's a lot of money involved here. But I don't believe it's explained right to any of us. You know, and it's sad what's going on. It really is. And it's just getting worse and worse. When you talk to people on the street, it's just getting deeper and deeper. I think some explanations ought to be given to us, and I wish us the best. I know you put a lot of hard work in here, but it's just hurting everybody. Let's bring our city back together. What's going on isn't good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
David Mills, 185 Oakland Street. I sat on the council a few years ago when Renaissance came, and for the first time in so many years, there was one word that they provided our city, and that was vision. For so many years, we just sat and said, what could Bristol be? Who are we? What are we going to be? And someone came to town and gave us a vision. Now, obviously, the vision that they talked about has to be done in stages. They have gone through financing, or trying to get financing, and obviously they're having some difficulty doing that. What do we gain by throwing them out? Nothing. Why not provide a little bit extra time so we can truly vet this project and see where we're going? Let's see if we can get this board and them to work together and maybe come up with a plan. Wouldn't that make more sense? It's time for some leadership. It's amazing that I am on the head of the marketing committee. Think about that. Think about the TV stations that are here tonight, and we're trying to market the city of Bristol. What impression are we giving the city? What impression are we giving everyone in the state? We have policemen here because we expected trouble. We don't know because there are people who could cause trouble, so I think it probably was a good thing to have them here. But what are we doing and where are we going? If I could, I'll hope to read as quickly as I can. I'd just like to come up, this is our marketing proposal, and this is the narrative for our city. This is who we are supposed to be. This is the spirit of our city. So please indulge me. Heart. Either you have it or you don't. That indefinable characteristic that is so often the difference between quitting and carrying on. Failing and succeeding. Being good and being great. It's a determination that allows an entrepreneur to launch a business despite obstacles. The compassion that propels volunteers to give and then give some more. The vision that unites the citizens of a city around a brighter tomorrow. Bottom line, incredible accomplishments often come down to one key characteristic: heart. Here in Bristol, heart is the engine that pumps passion into everything we do. We may not always be the biggest or the strongest, but we're always the hardest working, the most resilient, and the most resourceful and generous. We just have to have the heart to get things done. Maybe that's why businesses are so attracted to Bristol. Is tonight an example of that? I don't think so. Because in addition to being affordable and accessible, with an abundant of highly skilled workforce, Bristol has an incomparable work ethic. Known as a manufacturing hub, some of the nation's most successful companies, from world-famous ESPN to the Barnes Group, got their starts right here at home. And smaller companies and businesses thrive in an environment where ideas are appreciated and personal attention and resources are available in equal measure. In fact, the symbol of business success in Bristol can be traced in the triumph of the new Barley Vine Gastro Club. Wanting to be part of the renaissance taking place in the city, the owners refurbished the city's oldest building and poured their passion into developing a business that will be the heartbeat for arts, culture, and even music downtown.
Mr. Mills, I'm sorry, it's 3 minutes. Can you wrap up?
Yes, I'll wrap up. Okay. I'm sorry I couldn't get to read the rest of this because it's supposed to describe the spirit of the city. I wonder if all the work that we put in truly does represent what we're trying to do. This is a crossroads for Bristol. It's worth a few extra months to try to work together to try to make it happen. Thank you.
Kim Valenti, 387 Brewster Road. Unlike most people here that spoke, I'm not from Connecticut, so therefore I didn't grow up in Bristol. My husband and I moved here when we were newly married at age 24. I've been here almost 30 years, and I've called this place my home, and I've raised my kids here. I don't know if I'm going to stay here. I'm not sure I'm going to retire here, because there's nothing for me here. I've been waiting the entire time I've lived here to have good shopping and good restaurants. I used to joke and say, I just want a place that sells a real leather shoe. I want a place that has a real filet mignon. I went to Mother's Day in Simsbury. Last week, I ate dinner in West Hartford. I shop at the West Farms Mall. My money is leaving this town, and none of you can tell me that you don't do the same. The biggest problem that I discovered in moving to Bristol is that the people in Bristol, who I've learned to love dearly, because they've become my family. I don't have a family here. But you don't believe in yourselves. All you do is talk about the post office and the glory days of downtown. And I look at the pictures in the history books, and I listen to the people who talk about what a beautiful downtown it was. But in the 70s, malls were built. That's why your downtown failed. Everybody's downtown failed. But there's a resurgence now of people wanting to have more urban living. Now, I understand the issue of not wanting to put taxes up for this, to bond the project. But I think that if I were an investor, I would have trouble investing in this town if I didn't think the people in this town didn't want to invest in themselves. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for giving us this time to speak our opinions and voice our concerns and our optimistic ideas about this development. My name is Doreen Green. I'm representing the location of 160 School Street and 156 School Street for Artistry Tea House. I also am a Bristol resident living at 9 Briar Road, and that is a location very close to Route 72. Route 72 took many, many years to be developed, and when I knew that it was on the cusp of happening, we decided to go ahead and purchase here. We were looking in locations closer to where my husband works and resides his job in Bloomfield, and we were looking for a similar price range. I knew Bristol. I've grown up here. I went to high school here. I moved here in 4th grade. I'm from Binghamton, New York. Binghamton, New York is a location that, very similarly to Bristol and the towns of New Britain, are a manufacturing town, a steelworking town that all of the steelworking manufacturing jobs have left. It's a skeleton without resurgence. There are no jobs. There are no hopeful people there. It's a very depressed area. Although it has a booming college town feel with a thriving arts underground, they are unable to get the people to invest in them. This has left very wide open areas for the downtown area of the Binghamton, New York area where jobs just won't go in. There won't be new stores going in, and everything is leaving due to the tax hikes. I see a very scary trend here for Bristol, and if change isn't made, we're going to continue to change, but it could change for the worse instead of changing for the better. My concerns is that when I grew up here in high school, we all in the high school talked about Bristol, put down our own town, and the people in it. We didn't invest in our town. We traveled outside of our town to do anything activity-wise. We had a mall, but if you've ever lived anywhere else, I've lived in California, I've lived in New York City, that mall was a very sad shape when I grew up. It was the two marking cornerstones for the mall was the Salvation Army and Railroad Salvage, which sounds like a store where things fall off the back of trucks. When I grew up there, there was many, many storefronts that were empty, and I was part of a poetry community. We rented out, it was gifted to us, I should say, to the group of an artist community, and we were allowed to have poetry readings once a week. That underground was inspiring. I find that in life, sometimes everything happens for a reason, and you're drawn back to the same place with the same type of people. I have found a new underground. It's an artist community that thrives in the Forestville area, and it continues to thrive here in Bristol. The young people are excited. They're excited for the first time in many, many years because there's an opportunity to develop something that will actually put storefronts and living, making a pedestrian-friendly area for college students to attend Tunxus that has made many big changes and growth, to work at ESPN in both jobs and in internships. And the young people may actually stay here, getting their apartments. West Hartford was just part of Hartford. I'd like to remind everyone in Connecticut that, because West Hartford and West Hartford Center at Blueback Square was nothing at one point. It was just...
That's 3 minutes if you can wrap up.
Okay. I also want to say that as far as the housing developments that go, we had Peck Lane. At the bottom of Peck Lane, there was a hospital, and there's, I should say, sorry, at the bottom of Peck Lane, there was many housing developments that no one hears about. There's no crime over there. It's fine. We have versus the hospital, where right at the hospital area, there's many bad sections and bad areas. I've seen good change over on Summer Street. The people that are here speaking out tonight that have mentioned that address was a bad area with lots of crime. Now it's changed. But West End is changing. I went in there back in April of last year, painting and fixing up my space. I've done this with my own financing. There's been no loans. And
Sorry, I don't want to cut you
that's
off.
okay. The West End has changed, and we're really cleaning it up due to our cops, our investment, and Bristol Rising. They've been a key component. I feel that we need this extension to give them a chance to pull off what they've actually started. So, thank you. Sorry.
Daniel Satula, 135 Different Lane here in Bristol, Connecticut. Can I get a minute and 30 seconds? I just want to identify myself. If you can kindly read that into the record, I'm the sole surviving individual of the Bristol Redevelopment Agency.
Daniel P. Satula, Real Estate Officer, Bristol Redevelopment Agency.
That is I. I was here when the mall was developed as the real estate officer. And I'm just using up 30 seconds. By the way, the 2 acre stores of Sage Ellen over here in Granway on that end, and then a lot of local businesses. So I've got 17 seconds. I won't go any further, but I can answer any questions you want to know about what happened between, when Murphy left and when I left to go to a bank, okay, and something like that. 2.5 minutes. I'm a real estate appraiser, General Supervisor Real Estate Appraiser. I have taken the opportunity to read 2 appraisal reports that were prepared for the downtown project. One that the Bristol Downtown Development Corporation paid to Mr. Kane, a very, very good appraiser out of Cheshire, a $50,000 fee. And Renaissance also hired an appraiser, and I don't know what their fee was. With the project 100% complete, 10-year projection period, I can't go in all the terms, okay, about valuation, with a net income, okay, after all tax considerations and everything. The appraiser for the city of Bristol, Mr. Kane, said the project was a minus $33 million investment. The Renaissance appraiser said it was a minus $34 million investment. For us, Mr. Kane said, and the other appraiser said, very politely, very professionally, it would be the worst thing that we could do with the Renaissance project. Amen.